Hello and welcome, everyone. In this video, I will show you how to deploy the Bold Reports report server in Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service with Ingress. Let me begin with a brief overview of the Bold Reports report server. It is a reporting platform designed for creating, managing, and delivering interactive reports. It supports embedding reports into web applications built with ASP.NET Core, ASP.NET MVC, Angular, React, and Blazor. Users can manage access through role-based permissions and deploy the server on Windows, Linux, Docker, or cloud platforms. Now, let me look at the hardware and software requirements for deploying the Bold Reports report server. The hardware requirements are a CPU with 2 or more cores and at least 4 GB of RAM. And the software requirements are a database like Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL or MySQL, kubectl and AWS CLI command line tools, and a web browser like Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, or Google Chrome. Now let's start the deployment. I download the highlighted deployment files from the Bold Reports Kubernetes GitHub repository. I have provided a link to the repository in the description below. For my convenience, I am using Visual Studio Code. You can use the editor of your choice. I will discuss these files and modifications. Deployment contains the configuration to create and manage the pods using a replica set. The configuration in the HPA file is used to automatically increase or decrease the number of pods in response to the workload's CPU or memory consumption. Next, Ingress contains the configuration for controlling the traffic routing and exposes HTTP and HTTPS routes from outside the cluster to services within the cluster. Log4net_config contains configuration settings that are used to view the application logs in your Kubernetes console or store the needed logs in a file. Namespace contains configurations that will be helpful when different teams or projects share a Kubernetes cluster. Next, pvclaim_EKS contains the configuration for where I will provide the information for the file system. And service provides a single point of entry for accessing one or more pods. I have already created the Kubernetes cluster and node group in Amazon EKS to deploy Bold Reports. Next, I will configure AWS by running this command. I am asked for the AWS Access Key ID. Here I enter the ID, and after pressing Enter, I am asked to enter the AWS Secret Access Key, and then the AWS region code. You can get the region code from the AWS website. Then I enter the default output format as JSON. After that, I run the command to update the kube config. In it, US East 1 is the region name, and Bold Reports is the cluster name. Next, I run this command to deploy the CSI driver. Next, I run the command to deploy the Nginx Ingress controller. Next, I will configure the file storage for pods. I have created the EFS file system to store the shared folder for application usage and map the subnets and security group. Make a note of the file system ID, which will be used in the next step. I open the pvclaim_eks.yaml file, enter the volume handle ID value with the file system ID. Next, I need to deploy the Kubernetes metrics server to use the horizontal pod autoscaler. First, I deploy the metrics server. Then I run this command to verify the metrics server deployment is running. You can get the status here. Then I run this command to create a namespace for Bold Reports. Here, Bold Services is my namespace. Next, I run this command to create the config map. In this demo, I am going to deploy the report server by using the Ingress IP address. If you would like to set up the report server with a domain, then you can directly add the domain name and TLS secret name under the TLS and rules section in the ingress.yaml file. By default, the application will be hosted in non-SSL mode. If you want to configure SSL, you need to add the domain and SSL configuration in the ingress.yaml file. Before configuring SSL, I will create the TLS secret with the SSL certificate by running this command. Here, bold reports TLS is the secret name. This indicates the path for the .pem file and the .crt file path. You should use your domain SSL certificate. I run this command to apply the bold reports ingress and get the IP address of the engine X ingress. Once you have the IP address, you need to map the IP address with the domain you added in the ingress.yaml file. Here I'm going to deploy the application by using the IP address. Next, open the deployment.yaml file, and then replace the DNS or ingress IP address in the application base URL. If you want to use third-party data sources like MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, Snowflake, or Google BigQuery in your report, then you need to install them while deploying the report server. If you want to install more than one client library, then separate each with commas. Here I specify MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, Snowflake, and Google BigQuery. Then I apply the configuration from pvclaim_eks by running this command. This creates a persistent volume PV and persistent volume claim PVC. Then I apply the configuration in the deployment file by running this command. This is for creating and managing pods with the specified number of replicas with the provided image. Next, I apply the configuration in HPA by running this command. This is for setting up autoscaling for the Kubernetes horizontal pod, autoscaler HPA. And then I create all the services by running this command. You will see the services are created. Once all the deployment files are applied, you need to check the pod status. To do that, I run this command. Since a few pods are not in the ready state, I will run the command again. You will see that all the pods are running. Now the report server is ready to start. I open the browser and then navigate to the domain or ingress IP address provided in the application base URL to configure the report server. As you can see, the Bold Reports Enterprise Server Startup page has loaded. On the administration page, I fill in the required fields and click Next to proceed to the database mode configuration. The first option is Shared Sites Database. In this mode, all tenants share a single database with data logically separated using unique identifiers. This approach optimizes resource utilization, reduces infrastructure costs, and simplifies maintenance while maintaining data segregation. The second option is Separate Site Databases. This improves security, allows independent management, and enhances performance for each tenant. I choose the Separate Database mode, and then click Next to go to the database configuration page. The Bold ID database stores information about sites, users, and their access permissions. The Bold Reports database stores reports, users, and their resource access permissions. You can choose between two configuration modes. Simple mode, which configures a single database for both Bold ID and Bold Reports, and Advanced mode, which configures separate databases for Bold ID and Bold Reports. I proceed with Simple mode. You can choose from the Microsoft SQL Server / Azure SQL, PostgreSQL, MySQL, or Oracle database options to configure your own Bold Report server. I select the default server type, Microsoft SQL Server / Azure SQL. Based on your selection, the form will refresh, displaying fields related to the chosen database. Next, I fill the necessary fields. New Database allows you to create a new database on the selected server. Existing Database lets you select an existing database on the selected server. By default, New Database is selected. And I enter the database name Bold Services Kubernetes. You can modify the database schema, ID tables prefix, and server tables prefix values if needed. These prefixes will appear in your table names within the database. The Enable SSL option lets you make a secure connection between the report server application and the database to encrypt the data. I leave the default values and then click Next to open the account activation page. Next, I need to activate my Bold Reports account. There are 3 options available to activate the account. If you have a Bold Reports account, you can activate it by using the Login to Activate option. If you are working in a secure environment without access to an external server, you can activate your account by using the Upload License File option. If you don't have a Bold Reports account, you can use the Proceed with 30-day trial option. Since I have a Bold Reports account, I click Login to activate the account. If you have multiple licenses, it will ask you to select one. If you have only one license, the process will be skipped. The report server page has been loaded. On the reports page, sample reports that are already integrated into the report server can be added. When I click a report, it will open in a new window. The report server page has been loaded. In this video, I have shown you how to deploy the Bold Reports report server in Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service with Ingress. To learn more about Bold Reports, you can visit boldreports.com. To try Bold Reports, you can start a 30-day free trial by clicking the Try It Free option. If you want a demo from an expert, you can schedule a call by clicking the Request Demo button. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.